Hello everyone, and today we have a video that has been asked for so long. So the last couple of days I've been live streaming my progress in a new server. So I'm trying to recreate what will be my adventure in the new server, okay? So I'll show you guys here what I did. First of all, I will do a series about this, so I will try to progress along the time until the release, and then I'll do videos about it, okay? And also live stream, so if you want to accompany me, you just have to be on for these live streams and you can see it live, okay? So I will not also show a lot of things, but I'll try to explain everything, and if you have any question, you can really see the VOD. It's in my YouTube channel, you can see all the progress that I did. Also, another thing that I wanted to clarify is that this is not the best way for you to get experience or commas, okay? This is a good balance, in my opinion, to get commas and experience. That's how I did my 20 million commas in the first 2 weeks of the last new server in the beta phase 1, and also how I got to level 170 in these 2 weeks. So there was already someone at level 200 when I got to level 170, but in my way you get a good steady progress between commas and experience. So if you want just to rush through levels and get experience, maybe this is not the right video for you, but if you want to have fun in the game and have a good balance between commas and experience, then watch this, okay? So what I did first, and was a mistake, okay, I want to clear these things up, is that you should talk with the emissary there after you go to the Astrub, okay? Because I think you'll get a few commas there that will be enough for a step forward, okay? So after that I went and tried to go to the passage of the rogues or this passage here of the church, but I was not able to get because I did not have any commas. So make sure that you talk with the emissary before you leave the portal zone. So after you leave Incarnam, and then you'll be like in this portal zone, and there will be an NPC on the left, okay? So make sure that you do this quest. You just have to talk with her basically, and after that you kind of just need to complete her quest, which I think you just need to talk with someone else, but it's pretty quick. It's worth it because then you'll get these enough commas to buy this passage to go to the rogue passage, okay? So because I didn't have that, I just went down and killed a few larvas before I went to the Piwi zones, because the larvas are very easy to kill. They don't have much range, and so it's way easier than the Piwis. And that this zone will also not be contested. There will not be any players in this zone, and so I just got a few levels here. I think it was just like 2 fights or so. Then I was already like level 5 or so, which I would already have my harpooner, my turret, which is essential to kill Piwis, okay? Without the harpooner, it's very hard to kill the Piwis. And so after that, I just went to Sufoki, okay? So just take in mind that Sufoki does not have red Piwis. So if you want to do intelligence build really early on, it's not the best approach. So in my case, I normally go intelligence for steamer, but because of this reason, and it's also because it's easier to go with chance for the Kardorim achievements, I just went and picked it up the Piwi sets, okay? So I kept killing them until I got all the Piwi parts. So I recommend you go to Sufokia or going to Brakmar or Bonta, because Astrub will be super populated, okay? Astrub will be really, a lot of people will be there. You'll not find Piwis that will be with small groups, you know? So take that in mind. Either go to Brakmar immediately or to Bonta. For example, in my beta phase 1, I went to Sufokia, then I noticed that there were a lot of people there still, and so I went to Brakmar, and it was actually fairly easy to get everything. So once I got everything, I got all my Piwi set, my blue Piwi set, I just went to the Zap of Sufokia, and then I just killed myself, and then I went directly to the Incarnam portal, okay? So I went back to Incarnam, I did all the Kardorim Dungeon, as you guys can see. I just had to repeat one time to get all the achievements. Take in mind that achievements, it's a very good way to get commas and experience. And I always try to focus normally when I'm fighting mobs or dungeons, I always see which mobs are worth dropping something. So before I enter the dungeon, or when I enter the dungeon, I see the mobs of that room. And then I right click on them and see the bestiary and see which resources they drop. And then I see if the resources will do for nice equipments, if they craft nice equipments or not. And so then I put my challenges in XP or drop accordingly. So if there are resources that are good dropping for, then I go for that, okay? So then I finished the Kardorim, and then after that I decided that I wanted to get the Bearman because the Gobbal set will be really contested. The Gobbal area will have a lot of people, and having the Bearman set, it's a full intelligence set, it's a new set, and it will allow you to actually get a lot of content just with it. So with that set, you'll be able to do Fields Dungeon easily, you'll be able to do the Sponge easily, and you'll be able also to solo the Royal Gobbal Dungeon, and then you can farm also your Royal Gobbal set. So I just kept killing these mobs. It took me a bit of time, okay, it was like, in the live stream was a bit more because I was also always speaking with the people around, right? But the resources are also not super difficult to drop, and not so many as well. And so I just killed over and over some mobs. It didn't take so much time, okay, so it's fairly fine. And I don't think many people will be here farming these mobs. So it's a really good way to get an intelligence set really early on, instead of going to the Gobbals, for example. So after I got all the resources, since it's the beta area, I cannot sell anything, okay? So in this case, I just basically switched all the resources in my inventory, and I got like the equipments directly from the beta phase 3 test zone, and so I got all the equipments there. So yeah, obviously I'm cheating a bit because it's impossible to recreate 100% what will happen, but do not worry guys, if you have the resources, you just need to go to the workshops of these professions, and there you will have people that will craft your equipments for free because they want to level up their professions, and so they will craft everyone's equipment for free. So yeah, just go to the workshops. As long as you have all the resources, they will do it for free, okay? So after that, I got all my equipment. I also dropped 2 capes of Prespic, which each cape would value like 20 to 30,000 camas in a new server. It will be super good, and I will even use one of them for my Royal Gobbal set, because the cape of the Royal Gobbal set gives strength, and so it's not super good for us, and so using the cape of the Prespic and the ring of Prespic is way better. So in this case, I dropped 2 capes of Prespic, and I would sell 1 cape of Prespic in the future, and I would buy 1 ring of Prespic. So that will be like the switch that I will do, okay? Even though I would sell early on, so early on the price of the cape will be more expensive than what I would buy later on the ring, but nevertheless I did this switch just to be fair. So after that, it's up to you if you want to do this or not, but I went to Brakmar. I already had the autopilot, so I went to the shoreline of Sofokia, and then I went all the way to Brakmar. It took just a few minutes, and then over there I killed some red Piwis, okay? I killed some red Piwis to try to drop the ring, and it was actually the first fight that I did, and I managed to drop the red Piwi ring, okay? You can either drop it, or you can also do it in the workshop. As long as you have the resources, mainly the best approach probably would have been to just buy like some feathers, like some red Piwi feathers, and just do the ring in the workshop. It's a very cheap recipe to do, so might be the best approach actually to just do that. Anyway, after that, I went and get the quest for the quest line, the dungeon quest line, which is very important, guys. Do not forget this. So I went there to get the Mob Sponge quest line, and then I went to the Mob Sponge dungeon, and then I did the dungeon, okay? I checked also if it was important to drop anything, and you can drop the Mob Sponge set in these mobs. So I always try to do the rooms with the challenges on for drop, and actually I dropped a few things. I think I dropped a boot, I also dropped the shield, I think, and something else. So here we are now in the boss, and the boss was fairly fine. As long as you have the Bearman set, is honestly super chill. So after that I went to the Fields Dungeon. I did the same thing. I also checked if there were any drops that matter, and as you can see, you can drop the Fields set, which is a very interesting set for strength. And even if you just drop a few parts and they are not super valuable, like 2,000 or 3,000 camas, it will be something, you know, it will be something that you'll be able to sell and do some camas with it. And in my opinion, you don't need as much experience, because The trick here is to kind of maintain near to the level of the dungeons, okay? Because now there is a hidden drop, which is whenever you are close to the level of the mobs, you get ×4 drop of their equipment. So if you are, for example, level 30 and you're trying to drop the Royal Gobbal set, you'll have ×4 the drop rate for those equipments. But if you are, for example, level 45, then it will decrease until it gets to 0 multiplier. So as long as you are near the equipment's level, you have this ×4 multiplier. So it's very, very good. It's a hidden thing. So Ankama said this in an interview, so not many people know. So just take advantage of that. Always try to get the challenges for drop normally, unless you don't really want and you just want the XP, for example. Otherwise, just really go for that, okay? Here we are now at the boss of the Fields Dungeon. It was fairly fine. I had to repeat just 2 times, me and Ripsa. I've put the tower on the left to take attention of the 2 mobs, and then we just have 2 mobs paying attention to the bunny and to our turret, and we can just focus on the boss summon and also on the other mobs. So we just did that. So we always try to kill the summon as soon as possible and bring the boss to us, and it was fairly good. We did all the achievements as well. It was fairly quick and easy, and then I was already level 35. So after that, then I went to the Gobbal Dungeon. Always do not forget to go and pick up the dungeon quest lines. So after the Fields Dungeon, you need to deliver the quest, and then you get the Gobbal Dungeon quest in that quest line. So always do that. And so I did the dungeon was fairly quick. I also tried to drop and do the achievements for drop in all the rooms. So I could try to drop any Gobbal part, so I could sell it, right? And so as you can see, we actually dropped some things. I dropped a hammer, he dropped a cape. And then after that, I went to the Royal Gobbal boss. So then we did this dungeon. It was fairly fine. We did with 2 achievements. We cannot do the Blitzkrieg, obviously, and so but we managed to do the other 2, and we also managed to do the challenges. So in my opinion, in here, since I wanted to drop the Royal Gobbal set, for me it was more important to do the challenges than the achievements, even though I also did the achievements that I managed to do, like the Blitzkrieg. It's quite impossible if you don't have a rogue or a SRAM in your team at this low level. And I actually dropped already the shield and the belt, so that's pretty good. So you get I already got the belt and the shield. I could manage to use already the shield in my equipment because I was not using any shield, so that was very good. And also I managed to get 1 Royal Gobbal wool, because if you deliver the quest line, the quest for the Royal Gobbal Dungeon, if you deliver this quest in that quest line that I talked about, you actually get a Royal Gobbal wool. And 1 Royal Gobbal wool, it's basically the same as 1 Royal Gobbal part of this set, because the other parts of this set are honestly super easy to drop, okay? So it's like just some Gobbal parts that are super easy to drop. So, and also some Royal Gobbal leather, but the Royal Gobbal leather you can get like a lot of them in the achievements. You can get like 8 or so in the achievements. It's super fine. That part is just the only part is really the Royal Gobbal wool that you need to drop. So my idea was to get 7 parts of the Royal Gobbal set, and so I needed 7 Royal Gobbal wool or some parts of the Royal Gobbal set and some Royal Gobbal wool. So in this case I had already 3. I had the belt, the shield, and 1 Royal Gobbal wool. After that, I went to show some people in my live stream how you could get some runes in your equipment. I will not go very into that in this video, but you basically can get some extra stats or put your equipment with max stats To put them in max stats is very easy in low level equipments, but I also did some eggs of vitality in some equipments, and there was also the necklace that adds 1 range, and then I don't need the range because I'm playing with steamer, so I made that stat would drop, so it would leave the equipment, it would make that the equipment will have 0 range, but when a stat leaves the equipment, he also makes some space for extra runes to come in. So that's what I did. I put some extra vitality runes in my necklace instead of the range, and so I managed to get extra vitality. And I also put the hunting rune in my weapon because some people wanted to see what could I do with that, how could I put the hunting rune in my weapon. So it's not super difficult, okay guys, you just have to try it a few times and it's not super difficult. And also the runes in early game will not be super expensive, okay? Like what I did here, I spent like maybe 5,000 in runes. It's not super expensive at all. And so then after that, I just kept killing the Royal Gobbal several times until I dropped all the parts. So I had to do more 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I had to do it more 5 times the Royal Gobbal Dungeon. So you get 1 bunch of keys and 1 Gobbal key for this dungeon. So we have 2 tries for free, and then after that you can get one buy the keys in the market, or you can craft them yourself. So now the recipes to do keys, it's way cheaper, so it's honestly way more achievable to do this type of keys. So now you don't need ores or wood to do it, you just need some harvestable resources, and it will not be super expensive. So my guess is that the keys will cost you around 5,000 camas per key. It's not so much, honestly, like 5,000 camas you will do just by doing the dungeon several times. You will drop enough Royal Gobbal wool, or even like other Gobbal parts of the set. So you'll make enough camas to do these keys, okay? They will pay itself. So you need basically 4 resources of the Gobbals, which you will also drop in the dungeon, and then also 4 different harvestable resources. So to be fair, it will honestly not be super expensive. They will be super cheap to do, in my opinion, and so that's why I did this dungeon several times, because honestly that's what I will do in the new server. After that, I went to rune my equipment, because this equipment I will use it for a long time. I will use it until level 60, and so if I rune it with some eggs of vitality, it will give me so much potential to do a lot of different things. And again, the runes will not be super expensive, okay guys? A lot of people think that everything will be super expensive in early game, and it will not, okay? So even now that you have a lot of equipments early level that give different stats, so resistances and all of type of this stuff, so all the runes will not be super expensive. It will be doable to have it, okay? Do not worry about it. So in this set, I spent like around 20 to 30,000 camas maging this set, and it's honestly like, with all the things that you already did, like already in the forest, already doing the achievements and all of that, you have enough camas to afford that, and these will pay themselves. So this equipment will give me like around 600, a bit more than 600 vitality, and after the everything rune, like after all the eggs of vitality that I did in my equipments, I had 1200 vitality. So I tried to put around 50 vitality more than I had, and in some parts of the equipment, for example, I did not need strength, I did not need some critical, so I preferred then to have some vitality instead. So that's what I aimed for. I aimed for to have some vitality, and also this will pay off, because then you'll be able to get some more achievements in the dungeon. You'll be able to do the dungeons way easier and to do their achievements, and so the achievements also gives you camas and experience, and so it's way worth it if you do this. The same thing, you go to the workshop, you just need to buy the runes, okay? Either you buy them or you crush equipments to get runes, but you have these 2 options, and then you go inside of the workshop, and there will be people there that will make you for free, because they also want to level up their profession. So this was everything, okay? This was everything for today. I already did more content in my live streams. I'm already a bit more advanced in my live stream, but I will keep you updated. I will bring you more episodes like this. I think is a good idea for you guys to see actually a real run happening, okay? I'm not skipping anything. Actually, I'm really farming my own resources. I'm really doing everything by the book. Obviously, some things are a bit impossible, so I cannot sell any resources or equipments because this is a bet and nobody will buy. But nevertheless, I'm making a balance between that I cannot also sell, and I can't also not buy anything. So I'm more or less doing a balance between that. So for example, at this time, just with the achievements, because that was the only way that I get camas, I had 30,000 camas, right? But at this time in the beta phase 1, I already had over 200,000 camas. So because you can sell a lot of equipment, a lot of resources. So just take everything that I'm doing here also with the grain of salt, okay? If you don't have enough camas to do something, you need to grind your camas. You need to go to a zone that, for example, drops good resources, and you need to go there and drop the resources to then sell them, either for example going to a Gobbal place or going to Forest Machina, for example, and you just go to a place, drop the resources and then sell them. Everything will be more or less valuable at the moment because a lot of the resources now at lower levels will do a lot of equipments, and so a lot of people will go for different types of equipments, and therefore all resources will be more or less valuable, okay? So in the end I had 1016 vitality. It was super good. I'm using 2 parts of the Prespic, so I had already 2 capes of the Prespic, and the ring of the Prespic I basically switched for the other cape that I also dropped. And now I'm basically ready to do all the dungeon from 1 to 50. Okay, I'm super prepared to do all of them, and you guys will see in the next episode. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. Please subscribe if you like my content, and see you next time.